Okie dokie. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our annual meeting of the board. And we have this meeting every year. We used to have it at the library in Naples, and we would have this meeting on a Monday evening, and which was appeared to be inconvenient for a lot of people. So if we have adjusted it to our regular, one of our regular Wednesdays. This right here in front of you, right this single second, is the agenda for today, and I'll just let you take a glance at it, and I'm going to start basically the meeting. We have quite an agenda. That's why I wish to try to hold questions to the end, but make sure that if you do have any questions, you do ask them, please. I'd like to thank everybody for our outstanding year in 2020. The group began to grow again, and we never lost a single meeting to COVID-19. Business continued, and the Naples Mac user group rolled on. As you can see, this basically was our board of directors. We had some changes during the year, and so there are more people on this list than we have board members, but there were some changes, and I want to thank everybody on this list for all of their contribution to last year. As you can see, Eckert is our registrar, Don Peacock is our treasurer, Jeff Bohr was in charge of the classes with a great help from Sheeta. We have a piece of software that we use to run the group, FileMaker Pro. We have an expert in that area, one of our board members, Ed Evans. Marcia's the secretary. And Marcia, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I forgot to tell you, we're going to need notes of this meeting.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, thank you. Software technology and a zillion other hats, Ishita from Michigan. And she leads many of our meetings, as you know, and just contributes a whole lot of great information to the group. Mary Condon Rohr is our administrator. She sort of does a lot of the things that used to make me totally insane, and has taken some pressure off of me, and I really appreciate it. And of course, now she has the pressure, which I'm not so sure if she appreciates. But anyway, Mike Kowalczniak is one of our board members from the Suffolk group in England. I think we have 8 members now from the Suffolk group in England. Mike is president of that group, and he's on our board also. Conrad Reback lost his wife this year and left the group. Marilyn von Surgeon has some health issues with her husband and has backed away somewhat, but still an instructor and so forth. Marty Dorio, although has not been a board member for years, is wished to pull off from the group, but he's still there if we need him. And every once in a while we need him, and he takes care of whatever we need. He was the former webmaster. We do have what's called the mail account administrator. It's too long to try to describe his job, and that's Jay Feldman. And our president emeritus is Jerry King. Jerry King was president of the Mac user group, Naples Mac user group, for about 15 years. And he's now retired. And he always has an open door if he wants to come back. The instructors for our classes this last year was Marilyn, Jeff, Jim, Marty, Wayne Mertz, and Ed Evans. As you can see, I won't repeat the meeting presenters, but a lot of our members are very, very active in our meetings, and many of our best meetings are done by our own people. Marcia, can you review the results of the election?
Yes, it's pretty, hold on. Constant Contact is our new program that we're using. I like it better than the old one, which is why I switched. And as you see, we have 325 eligible voters. 229 voted. 77% opened. Not necessarily did they vote, but they opened it. 0 bounces, 0 unsubscribes, which is pretty good. Our quorum, we need 30%, so we obviously exceeded that. And the candidates are George Rubin, Jeff Bohr, Mary Rohr, Ed Evans, and Mike Kwasniak. And guess what? They were all elected. Surprise, surprise. There were no write-ins. That's
If there had been any write-ins, we were going to automatically let the write-in win.
I know.
But
maybe next time.
Yeah, there were no write-ins. We actually do have a formal election, and we have an excellent turnout. It's not being, we're not being challenged about the accuracy or any of that. Marcia did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
The board of directors, as you can see here, this is the list of the current board of directors. And we have 2 people that help out the board, even though they're not board members. One is Jay Feldman, and the other is our new webmaster, which is an outside consultant. And she's paid for her services. And hopefully we can introduce her at the meeting. We're waiting to see if she can possibly attend.
I'm here.
Okay, Caitlin, this would be a great opportunity. Can we see you?
Well, I'm a little indisposed right now, dealing with my my 6-month-old. Unfortunately, on the way home, I got into a little bit of a fender bender, so I'm about a half hour behind of where I probably should be on the day. But that's kind of why I'm still kind of running around. But I wanted to log on and say hi, so I wasn't missing it here. Luckily, everybody's okay, but it's season in Naples and those things happen, unfortunately. So we're okay. I'm just a little shook up. So you might hear it in my voice, but everybody's okay.
Okay, well, we're going to let you go then. But listen, I appreciate you checking in with us.
Sure.
Caitlin is our webmaster. We're trying to get used to a webmaster on the outside. We haven't been able to fill that need since Marty retired. And Caitlin is doing an excellent job trying to keep up with all of our requests. And we're very excited about having her. We're just trying to figure out all the communication back and forth. And we thank you, and hopefully you have a great day.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And just so everybody knows, if you do find yourself finding it difficult to navigate anything on the website, or if you have any suggestions, please forward them to George and Mary. I'm in contact with them quite frequently, and I'm pretty available to help pretty immediately. So if you guys, like I said, you see a problem and you're saying, hey, this link isn't working correctly, or this text doesn't make quite correct sense, just let us know and I'll take care of it for you guys. So it's always up to date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Mary, further in the meeting, Mary will review some other things from the website. Don, are you with us? Don Peacock. Okay,
I'm with you, George. Good morning.
Okay, so it's your turn. Treasurer's report.
Okay, we had a good year. We made money. The thing that says income is not income.
John, this is Eckhart, the host. May I interrupt for a second? I think this is our annual meeting, and you are a board member and an officer, but you're not visible because you stopped your video.
Okay, you did. I would have taken the Zoom class. Do I push start video here next to unmute?
I would would like you to do that because I believe our audience should see our.
Yeah, yeah, oh, okay.
Thank you.
I clicked start video. It says stop video.
Now we see you now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so income is not income in the sense of normal accounting. It just means the money that came in. So the actual income is what says income minus the expenses. So we were ahead about $5,000 last year, and you see all the normal items. The dues were about the same as the previous year. Here's all our operational expenses. Anyway, there was nothing unusual. We don't account in advance for large expenses like buying a computer, which anyway, there's one this year that we'll talk about later. But last year, the web services expense was only $1,400, and there was nothing really unusual for last year. So that's, if you go to the next slide, I'm going to have to learn to use the new version of our accounting software because it doesn't work on the new M1 system, the one that I'm using. Anyway, next slide, George. Eckhart will explain the class's income. I only keep track of the money. I don't keep track of who pays and for each class. So last year we had to pay almost $3,000 to rent the classroom for our in-person meeting, but so we don't have that expense this year. And those are the other expenses that we give honorariums to our instructors and the class registrar. Next slide. But as you can see, classes are a big item for us. And this year because we can have more than 50 people per class, we'll have money to pay for our hosting, FileMaker hosting, and our web service person who you just heard from. Anyway, these are the class results for last year. You can see which ones were the most popular, but we had good attendance at all. So maybe Eckhart will talk about that. But anyway, that's how you break down our classes. And here, if you can see the budget, this year we're predicting a loss because I estimate when we renew our FileMaker hosting, last time in 2018, it was $3,650 for a 3-year contract. So I've budgeted $4,000 for this year. So which pretty much that gives us the loss at the bottom of 3,800 and some odd, which we're predicting because that was a known thing and we have money to pay for it. So we will not have that $4,000 expense next year. So that's.
We also are have about a $3,500 expense for the webmaster, which
right.
is new.
Yeah, that's included. So if you look under web services there, you see last year we only paid out $1,400 almost, and this year when you add in the web services, which are $295 a month plus the $4,000, that's what brings that number up. But next year it will go down by $4,000. So that's really the main expenses that we have. But we're in good financial condition, and we have a good bank. And unless somebody has any questions, that's all I have.
We're gonna hold the questions to the end.
Okay.
Good. Is Jeff with us? Jeff Bower?
I am here.
Okay, great. Can you talk about the educational programs?
Absolutely. We had a
Do you
really
want to share? We want to see you. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to just?
Well, let's see. I've got my video going, but I don't have the slides that you have because I'm on my iPad today.
Okay, so I'll show the slides.
Please, thank you. So yeah, this year we had 10 classes that were offered, and all the registration is done on the website. And when you go to the website, there's a classes tab. So many of you may be familiar with this. And if you're a member of the group, which you are if you're here now, hopefully, the classes are only $15 each. Any guests or non-members are $24. And we had the same deal again, where if you sign up for all 10 classes, you only pay for 9. So this was the first year that we did all our classes via Zoom meetings. And what that's allowed to do is increase the numbers and participants, and everybody can still participate and ask questions, but a lot more people can participate with Zoom. And we did add this year classes on iCloud and Zoom, which will be the last 2 classes that you see on the schedule. So we've done 2 out of the 10 classes so far. So the first class was on January 16th. That was my overview of Big Sur. And if you are a class attendee and paid for a class, you'll also get a private link to a YouTube video of the class after the class has been completed and recorded. So you'll have access to these classes even if you cannot attend live. That's one of the benefits of doing this on Zoom, that we can create the classes in a format that you can watch over and pause. So on January 30th upcoming, and these classes are all held from Saturday from 10 a.m. until 12:30. Marilyn's going to be doing the iOS 14 for the iPad. The following Saturday, she'll be doing iPad OS 14. On February 13th, our media expert, Jim Corsica, will be doing a class on entertainment and streaming. So if you're confused about Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that, he's going to cover all of that. Don Wasink, who is has a website where he does a lot of instructional videos, is going to be doing a class on photos. And that'll be on the 20th of February. Marilyn will be back on February 27th to teach another class on the new Watch OS 7. And then Joe Kissel, who owns Take Control Books and has written many of the Take Control series himself, he's going to be doing a class on iCloud on March 6th, which should be very informative. If you're ever curious about what the cloud can do and cannot do, he's going to cover all the pros and cons and ins and outs and intricacies of iCloud settings on all your devices. And then on the 13th, I'll be doing my security and protection class. So this is the class where you can learn how to manage passwords better, as well as be secure and identify and avoid threats that you might see both on the computer and other methods. And then the final class on 20th, Dan Wasink will be right back to do a class on using Zoom and FaceTime during this pandemic area that we're in now. So a lot of us are becoming more comfortable with it, but Dan will be really covering some of the more tips and tricks you can use using these services provided by Apple and Zoom.
Is that it, Jeff?
That's it for the classes. So far we're off to a great start. So tell your friends and family that they don't have to be in Naples to attend these, and they can do it from anywhere.
Yeah, we had over 90 for the first class and over in the mid 80s for the second class. Biggest enrollment we've ever had in the history of this MAC group, and we're thrilled. And it seems to be a lot of it relates to the fact that it's on Zoom and it's convenient and it's easy to see and it's easy to hear, and it's seems to be a winning strategy. So we're thrilled at the results so far, and we look forward to all of the rest of the classes. Sheeta is also involved in the class area, and she can sort of explain to you her role.
Well, what we're trying to do, because we are getting out to a lot more people outside of our Naples group, because I'm in Michigan, we have other people in different areas of the country and around the world. We want to standardize what we do. We like the idea of we're on a Mac, we want to show you how to, or how we use these Mac apps in some of the things that we do. So the idea is to present a consistent look to our presentations and our classes, and to give everyone a really good view of what the Mac apps can do. After all, we are an Apple Mac group. Thank you, George.
Thank you. Mike, are you with us from England, from Suffolk?
I'm here, George. Hello.
Great. You want to share your screen, right?
If I may, yeah.
Like I said before, Mike is the president of the Suffolk Mac user group in England. And I think we have 7 or 8 members from his group as part of our group. We have an outstanding relationship with this group, and it's a win-win for both of our organizations.
I completely agree with that. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to date with groups.io and where we're at, and throw a few numbers at you. So I joined Naples, I think at the beginning of October last year, and we launched the new message board on the 21st of October, 2020. Since then, as of this moment, 390 topics have been started by members. I hope all of them satisfactorily answered, but I haven't checked every one of them. But that's an extraordinary figure. I'm sure that, I'm preaching to the converted here, but I thought it would be useful just to go over the process in case there is anybody with us that isn't presently using the message board that would like to. As you can see here, all that you need to do if you wish to throw a question to the message board is address mail to naplesmug@groups.io. When you fill in your subject, we beg you to be precise. And we beg you, as of this moment, to add hashtags. Let me just illustrate one. Here we go, hashtag Keynote. So this person is asking the question, when I open Keynote, how do I set the correct screen format? It's actually a very easy question to answer. However, at the end of the line, we have this hashtag Keynote. For the last 4 months, I didn't know that there were differences between the US keyboard and a UK keyboard. And in the instructions that I posted out last October, I told everybody that to create, this is mad. And thanks Ed Evans for creating so much work for me this morning to correct all of this. So you have to hold down the Option key and press the 3 key on a UK keyboard to create a hashtag. However, you guys have the hashtag sitting staring at you above the 3. So to type a hashtag, all you do is hold down the Shift key, which is considerably easier to remember when you can actually see it. So when we started the group, when we started the message board, we had a very limited number of hashtag subjects. So we had Mac OS devices, Mac iOS devices, Mac iOS applications and stuff like that. And it's now that we've sort of lived with it for a few weeks, a few months, we think it's time to open up those keywords so that you can actually use any keyword you like. So just to get you moving, here are a few very simple rules. First of all, if you're asking a question that may involve 2 applications, or if you're asking a question that may involve an application and a particular, I don't know, iPad or something, then you can add more than 1 hashtag if you want, up to 6, I believe. Groups.io isn't case sensitive, so it doesn't matter whether you use caps or not. So Keynote with a capital K is read in exactly the same way as Keynote with a lowercase k, so you needn't worry about that. However, Groups.io does not recognize spaces, and we beg you, please, always to use an underscore, just so that all of these items will find each other when they hit the site. So just to give you an example there. So we have Big Sur with an underscore between the big and the Sur, which is great. We have Big Sur in lowercase with an underscore, which is great. But if we type hashtag big and leave a space and then follow that by sir, it won't be recognized. And in fact, it will just be interpreted as hashtag big. By incredible coincidence, somebody actually used this the other day on the Naples message board, which we'll correct, so it doesn't matter. But just be aware, please never leave spaces. So everyone knows where the underscore is, I'm sure. Easy peasy. So please avoid using words like disaster or help or I hate Microsoft or I'm ripping my hair out and I want to kill myself, because that doesn't help anybody trying to find your post later. So if in this example, if you really are tearing your hair out over an issue that you're having with pages, then please simply use hashtag pages at the end of your subject line. Rather than an expression of how you're feeling. This happens both on the Naples site and on our site here in the UK. And it drives me nuts because we have to keep going in and updating them and changing them. So that said, you can really use any words you like as hashtag. So it doesn't have to be an app like Pages or Numbers or Safari or Final Cut Pro. It could be banking, it could be internet, it could be security, it could be absolutely anything you like. They're all good. And finally, if we could please ask you, just for consistency's sake, to put the hashtag at the end of the subject line, like you can see in this example, when I open Keynote, how do I set the correct screen format? Hashtag Keynote. So having done that, what happens? Now, if you wanted to go back over some old posts on the message board, if, for example, you remembered somebody posting something, let's stick with the Keynote thing. Let's say you remember somebody posting a question about Keynote a couple of weeks ago. You no longer have that mail on your computer, so you need to go back to groups.io to check it out. So this is how you do it. You need, in order to access groups.io, you need to have signed up. And if you didn't sign up at the time that we sent your invitation out, you'll find all the information that you need on the group's website. Caitlin has created a new tab called Message Board, which I've just circled there. And when you click on that tab, that will take you to this page. And you can see there are a number of PDF. They're very short and very simple, full of pictures, so they're very easy to follow. But there are a number of PDFs here, and also my little welcome movie, which also explains how you get onto the message board. So if you need to access the message board at any time, this is the quickest way to learn how to do it. Once you're in the message board, this is what the homepage looks like. And over on the left-hand side, you can see an icon for hashtags. And when you click that, you'll see the first of many pages of hashtags. They're in alphabetical order, so they're pretty easy to find. In this example, let's say that you wanted to look up an old post related to photography. So I go to the P's, here we are, I find photography, there it is. I click on that link, and that will take me to a list which will contain all of the posts related to photography that have ever been posted on the Naples board. Easy peasy. People seem to have adjusted to using the board really brilliantly, and we're getting very few questions from members about how to use it. If you have any, we're all here to help. And thank you, George. That really is it.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for making it easy peasy. All right. So that was Mike from the message board. Ishita and Eckert, will you talk about Eckert is our vice president, our Zoom expert, and our class registrar, and many other roles he plays within the group. It's all yours, Eckert.
Zoom. Started using Zoom a long time before Corona hit us. And the reason was really almost funny, but George had always tried to record our meetings at the library, and he used a camera, and once in a while someone tripped on it, and I think the quality of these recordings was not the very best. And I had begun to use Zoom within my international family, so I suggested to Naples Mark that we give Zoom a try. And we developed fun with Zoom, and also began to discover some of the assets that Zoom would bring to meetings when you use Zoom for recording, because all of a sudden we discovered that the quality of what we demonstrated was excellent. And so when then actually about a year ago, Corona began to hit the world and caused lockdowns and so forth, we were ready to use Zoom as a virtual conference tool for our meetings. And as was mentioned earlier today, we didn't have to stop our series of meetings. We continued every Wednesday. And I think our audience, our membership, I think they are quite grateful that we had that tool at our disposal. Again, where are we today with Zoom? I think we have gone as far as the state of the art permits us. We have very high quality videos and sound. And I think what is very important for an organization such as Naples Mug, the Zoom features allow us very strong interaction. And I think that makes our club life more lively, more interesting. When we go back to our physical meetings at the library, it was difficult to have interaction because people who asked questions would not be understood by others. Questions had to be repeated, and they were not as clear as it is today when you can use the chat box. So I think we have gone very far. We are using all the features that Zoom offers today for our kinds of meetings and also for our classes. We have excellent recordings, and I think George is the main producer of these videos. He does an outstanding job and distributes these recordings very quickly after our events. We also have Sheeta, and she will talk in a moment, as a great person, as a great asset to our Zoom meetings, because she moderates the meetings and does it in a superb way. Where will we go with Zoom? I think we will go much further than where we are today. I think there will be substantial software improvements. I think there will be easier access. There will be better bandwidths. There will also be more fun. I think most of you are enjoying the virtual background feature, and Zoom is working on it, that this even would offer more variety and more fun. But there's another thing that really concerns me in a way, because Zoom today and in the future is beginning to replace physical meetings more and more. And when I go back in history of mankind and realize how unwilling mankind normally is to make changes, we did have just a theater hundreds of years ago, and then somebody made the move to movies. And I think movies have become a totally different product than theaters. And whilst the theaters are still around, movies and videos really have taken over. And I believe that something similar is about to happen with regard to Zoom. I think, I'm not saying that physical meetings are out. They will be continued once Corona is under control. But it will not, I think we will continue to have Zoom, and we will continue to have many more Zoom meetings than physical meetings. So it's a new dimension because of the advantage of the high quality video, the share screening potential, and I'm addressing our own membership now. We used to be a club with residents who all lived in Naples. Now, because of Zoom, we've opened up. we have members from all over the country, from Canada, from England, from Australia. And as a matter of fairness, if physical meetings are possible again, what do we do with our members in England and in Canada and the rest of the United States and Australia? Are we going to exclude them? And so I believe I think mankind, we do like social gatherings, and I think we're lacking that right now. And we will have probably once in a while, we will get together. But I think Zoom will be the prominent way to broadcast our meetings in the future. So one more word on Zoom before I hand it over to Sheeta, or two more words. I think we have meetings now close to 70, 80, 90 people. One day when Terry White was presenting, even over 100. I think 100 participants seems to be the limit, because if meetings get much larger than that, then interaction, I think, will be suffering. Before I let Sheeta talk, and she is a wonderful asset to our organization, one reason why we are so successful, extremely successful, and have attracted so many more members, I think is George Rubin. Because what George has done, he has put together a program that and has been able to recruit presenters that no longer consist just of our very able members, but we've also attracted a few presenters from outside. And I think that makes really all of that combination, and the regularity with which we have our meetings and the fantastic presentations we've had so far, that is the reason for our success. And if nobody else does, I want to thank George really personally for an absolutely great performance. Thank you, George.
Thank you very much, Eckhard. Thank you.
And Sheeta, I think I would like you to tell the audience what you do when you act as moderator and beyond.
Well, this being a moderator actually starts long before the meeting actually starts. We meet with our presenters and we prep them. We find out if they need anything from us, how we can help them have a better presentation. So this happens, maybe a week or even more before the actual presentation. We make sure that the presenter is comfortable, because sometimes we have first-time presenters, and then we have seasoned presenters. So the range is vast. But with every presenter, we make sure that they are comfortable, that they have everything they need from us in order to have a successful presentation. And being a moderator, I also try to help the presenter move along forward with their presentation. If they need me to monitor the questions, and actually there are some questions that me knowing as much as I do about software helps with the presenter, and questions that they may want to get out to the attendees, or questions that the attendees should ask, but no one has asked. So I try to help move that along. And when we have so many attendees, you want to make sure that everyone can get their questions asked and answered. Sometimes you may hear me, I talk to someone and mute them. That's because we've attended a lot of meetings where it's just been a free-for-all. And when you have that free-for-all, there are times when absolutely nothing gets answered because you have so many people talking at the same time. So my intent is to help further the meeting to the success of everyone, the presenters and the attendees. And I love you guys participating. I love you guys being here, and I am very happy and grateful that you have endured this journey with us. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Judy. Mary, will you go ahead and talk about the website, please?
Sure. Well, earlier you all met Caitlin, our new webmaster, whom we have hired to replace Marty, who was a loss when he retired, but Caitlin seems quite competent. And I'm interfacing with her to try to funnel any concerns or changes that people want to make to the website. We're updating and we're improving. Ed has been working, Ed Evans has been working with Caitlin on some of the links that we have on the website, how to join Nmug, how to take a class, how to register for classes. We have a calendar on the website that Marcia Masiglio presides over, make sure it's up to date and complete. We have a tab on the homepage for videos, and we have a record of every meeting, a YouTube record of every meeting that George films, and we have 1 year's worth of meetings for people to refer to if they're interested in anything that occurred during a meeting or watching a meeting that they might have missed. We have a tab on classes, and we keep a history of 5 years worth of classes that can be viewed if anybody's interested in looking at a class that has occurred. We are limiting our classes this year to people who, the video of the classes to people who are registered for the class, but the history of the classes is open to anyone. The website is a public website. We also have a tab for the message board. Mike Wozniak has explained that to you. And all the information that he has presented today can be found on the website. We also have a tab on resources. It was mentioned the Take Control books is one of the benefits to our members, and we have information about that under the resources tab. We also have the resource of Dan's tutorials. He gives us a big discount if we're Nmug members. That's under the resources tab. And we're adding the Gary Rosenzweig's Make Most video platform as one of our resources. He's a great presenter, and his videos are ad-free. So we've highlighted those resources under the resource tab. As you can see, our website is a wealth of information for members and non-members, and we're very proud of it, and we're hoping to make it better, and we hope that you make, as members of Nmug, make use of it, because it's a valuable aspect of our organization.
Okay, Mary, you want to review the surveys? Please.
Okay. Change of subject. We had a number of our regular Wednesday meetings. We did market research type surveys afterwards. They were sent to the people who had attended the meetings for feedback. We were interested in a number of issues, topics, how people received the topics, how popular they were, and we wanted to know if the presentations were effective. We also wanted to know if people had problem getting into the Zoom meetings, and gradually there were no problems. Everybody seemed to accomplish that. But anyway, we got the feedback on that. That's what we were looking for. The results were pretty informative. They gave us some direction, and we asked some general comments so that people could critique and give us that general direction. And we found that basically the club is positive about the meetings, and we were happy to get that feedback.
Mary, you want to go ahead and talk about the new member letter?
Sure. As you can see, George did give me a lot of little things that he doesn't like to do. So I got involved in a number of issues this year. And one of them I worked very closely with Ed Evans on, and that was our welcome letter that goes out over George's signature. It's for people who are just joining Nmug. The first section just reiterates their personal data and shows them a link that Ed developed for any updates they want to make to their personal profile. We also explained the Zoom meetings, and Eckert provided a link to the calendar for putting the Zoom meetings on your calendar so that you don't have to enter the meeting ID and passcode every week. You can just.
Okay, I just wanted to say a few words about our Wednesday meeting. I'm the guy that basically plans all of these meetings. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. I've gotten to know a lot of very interesting people over the years. Our speakers from the outside love working with our group. Sheeta and Eckert and myself, and they have become great friends. A few of them will be teaching our classes this year, and I think you will notice in the future we will utilize that also because it's somewhat difficult to do these classes, and so sometimes we need to go to the outside because our own people are extremely busy in their own lives also. And these classes take hours and hours and hours to get ready for. But anyway, we have a meeting plan. I planned this out about 9 months to a year out, all of our meetings, and line up the outside speakers, stay in touch with them. They then have a practice with Sheeta and Eckert, and we have really turned this thing into a very well-organized, oiled ship. We're thrilled as an organization. By the way, this group that you belong to, the Naples Mac User Group, is probably one of the only, and I mean one of the only, maybe one or two others, that is growing. Most groups have gone from 400 members to 50 members, and we've gone from 500 to 400, and we're trying to get back to 500. And we have a sizable group. And really, it's our board of directors that really is full of energy. None of our board members are not involved in our group. They're all specifically in charge of major areas and have an expertise. Like I talked about a few minutes ago, Marty Dorio has always been a friend of the group, whether he's on the board or he's not. Jay Feldman, John Lane, Bill Nice, was on we have a nominating committee that goes out and finds us new people to talk to about the positions that are coming up. That consisted this year of Bill Nice, Scott Silver, and Mitch Bryers. Barbara Benfield came to us. She was an old friend of Jerry King's from years ago, and she was from California. And we got her to join the group, and she sends us their newsletter. So we don't have our own newsletter because of all of our other activities. That's one thing that we really have put on, we don't do. And so we utilize Barbara's from the Reddy Macintosh group. Sandy Dickinson is a brand new member. She came from up north of us, and she was doing a Google search for a Mac group. She found us, and you'll see emails and lots of group message board messages from her. And she's been very, very helpful in trying to explain the process of how do you make sure you come into the meetings with your correct Christian name. David Ginsburg, who's the president of the group up in Chicago, has been very helpful to us as far as the survey was concerned, and also some of the Zoom issues we were having and the utilization of Reflector and so forth. Jerry King, although retired, he's still there, and he still works fairly maybe on a monthly basis. He provides some information from the FileMaker Pro database, and he gives us some very, very good constructive criticism. And we really appreciate having Jerry still around and hanging in there. Victoria Herring was an interesting situation. She's from Des Moines, Iowa. And we have a member that lived out in Des Moines, and he was looking to join a group, and he found the group out in Des Moines, which Victoria was the president. It was very inactive and very frustrating to Victoria. So we got her to join our group, and now she's very active in our message board. Vicki Kelber, who's been with the group for many years, is also very active on our message board and participates often. Michael Schleider has now become a backup to Eckert as far as Zoom is concerned. He's heading up one of the camera clubs here in Naples and is a great asset. Also, John, yes, is active on the groups, a very knowledgeable technical guy like Jeff and Dennis, and we're thrilled to have John. Members, recruiting. This year, and Ed will talk about it, we ran a promotion and it was very successful. But the other way we get members is through our own members, and this will continue to be the most important way of getting new members, from your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, other clubs you belong to, groups, condo and neighborhood associations. Recruiting our members, recruiting members for the group is really the way to go. We've tried some advertising, but word of mouth and this promotion that Ed will talk about is the way to get members. And we've had a pretty good year in that area. Ed put together some numbers, and can you review them?
Okay, but before I do that, I had a couple of things that have come up that I need to discuss briefly. The most recent is you showing us the schedule for the year, and that points out that I seem to be on deck for Q&A for next week. And I'm supposed to be answering questions, and I hope somebody sends me some, because if I don't have any questions, it'll be a very brief and boring meeting. So please send questions in so I can do that. And as Sheeta had mentioned, she helps first-time presenters, and that's me, a first-time presenter. So I'll be looking for any kind of assistance I can get from anybody to make sure that next week's meeting turns out as good as all the others that we've been seeing, or at least close to that. The other thing, going back to Mike's introduction, I thought it was interesting that I just sort of noticed his comment about the option key and the number 3, and I said, oh, wait a minute, I don't need to do that. There's that gizmo that we refer to as a hashtag, which I always, it looks like a tic-tac-toe game, and I call it either a number sign or a pound sign. And I found it's kind of coincidental that if you follow Mike's instruction, you do get a pound sign, but it's for British pounds, not for this number sign type of thing. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So anyhow, back on to what George wanted me to talk about in the first place, the member recruiting thing. And we came up with a promotion idea last summer at a time when Naples Mug is pretty idle and frequently goes through a summer with only 1 or 2 meetings for the summer. But we offered free Naples Mug membership. It would last until the 1st of November. And that turned out to be a pretty good idea. Some 48 people signed up during that time. And after the 1st of November, 35 of those 48 renewed and became full-time regular members. And so it was a pretty good deal. It worked well, and I wouldn't be surprised if George wants to repeat that at some point during this year. And to talk about the overall status of our membership activity, it's interesting to point out that starting in 2016, looking at those numbers that you see, there was a net loss of 10 members during that year. 2017, it was a loss of 19 members. Downward spiral going on there. In 2018, it was a loss of 36 members. In 2019, it improved a bit, and in the downward spiral, it was still going down, but it came up a little bit. But in 2020, as bad as that year was, there was a net gain of 9. So that's a significant improvement. We hope we can do better than that and keep that positive direction going. So what's on your next slide here? Okay, George said, what do we know about membership, recruiting, gain loss, and people's locations? And he's mentioned me a number of times here being involved with FileMaker Pro, and that's really kind of my role in this whole thing. And so because I keep our member database in FileMaker Pro, and I know the ins and outs, and I know how to find things in there, it wasn't too difficult for me to pull a bunch of information out. If you are an expert with Excel, you'll recognize some of the things that appear on this screen as coming from an Excel pivot table. But here's where our members are. We have 1 in Australia, we have 2 in Canada, 7 in the UK, and the rest of them are all in the US, spread around the different states, as you can see. And might have something to do with Sheeta that the biggest state going is Michigan with 11, not counting Florida, of course. But it's an interesting distribution. It would be kind of fun to start plotting these on a map of the US at some point with, you know, like those, they color the states or whatever for more or fewer members. So that's kind of where we are with that. Now, there was various mentions. Oh, good. He's talking about this, the operational improvement. We had to interface everybody to the FileMaker database one way or another to accomplish what we wanted to do. And yet, A, we cannot let everybody in, and B, everybody does not have a license to run the FileMaker program on their computers. So how do we do that? And FileMaker offers something called Web Direct, where you can get in and do something without a license. And so we had to set up a mechanism for people to do basically 3 things. 1, join Naples Mug. 2, sign up for classes. And 3, where you could go in and review some of the basics of your profile, your email address, your telephone number, and so on, and update that if it needed to be updated, rather than putting that on somebody else to try to keep you up to date. So we had some things, we had a mechanism set up using the Web Direct thing, but it was pretty clumsy. It caused a lot of people a lot of grief as to how to do it. And I struggled for many months trying to find a solution, and finally digging around the internet and finding various experts. I came up with one expert who gave me the answers. And so we've created some new links. Now, please don't try to write these down. You don't need to, but you can see it's one of these complex things up at the top, but that's the one for class registration. The next one is for joining Naples Mug, and the third one is for updating the profile. Oh, and when you update your profile, you also get to see what classes you are registered for. So if you signed up for a whole bunch of them early in the season, you can always go here and see what you really are signed up for. And if you were going to put one of these links in an email to somebody, it's much nicer to sort of bury that complex link shown at the top of the page into a simple click here type of thing, so that people click on it and it takes you right there. And then Caitlin, when we started trying to get all this stuff onto our website, Caitlin took us a step further, and she put a separate page that you'll find access to on the menu bar, all the way to the right end of it. That gives you all 3 of those links right there, where you can click on it, and it even shows you an image of what you will see when you get into the FileMaker portion of it. It's not necessary to go there, but if you want that as a simple way of doing things, it's right there. And if you want to go there, you just go to naplesmug.com/links, and that'll take you to that page that has those 3 links on it. And so I think we have pretty much overcome the difficulties of interfacing you and our website to FileMaker, and yet at the same time keeping the database fairly secure so that somebody can't go in and start messing with your record in our database. And we are just at the very, very beginning of doing all of that right now. And there are still some sections on the website, at least there were as of last night, where the link was good, but there was instructions for the old way of doing things that confused some people. But I think if not now and very soon, everything will be using the new system. So that's pretty much it for me. So thanks, George.
All right, Ed, thank you very, very much. I mean, Ed has been just super wonderful in correcting some of ongoing issues we've had, trying to make life easier for our members. We are still, we really do not have a presence, the group, on social media. If we internally, if we have anybody who is an expert on social media and who would like to volunteer to be head up that, we'd appreciate if we could hear from you. Just get a hold of one of our board members and whisper in their ear that you're interested. We also need more moderators on Groups.io. To go in there and watch the questions that are coming through and try to participate in answering them. We have a lot of experts within the Mac user group. And if you can just take a periodic look at the message board and answer some of those questions, we'd appreciate it. The other issue that we really need to deal with and need to deal with it soon is we need backup candidates for all our current board members. We're all not going to last forever. We're going to get worn out. We're going to, God forbid, things can happen to us, our health, our life, and we need backup candidates. So I would hope that this year that if you really want this group to continue into the future, we need new blood constantly. Our current board is outstanding, but it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes priorities change and people move away and things happen. And so we really need to begin to look at a backup plan for our current board members, and we need that help from our membership. Okay, everybody has probably been waiting for the surprise. Last year, we gave away 6 gift cards to the Apple Store, $25 each. And it was interesting. We only had, we had the meeting at night, and at the library, you want to talk about Zoom, we had over 80 this year at the meeting. I think we had up to 86 or 87 and I really appreciate that. And the board really appreciates it, because last year we had 6 or 7 that showed up at the library. I guess it was an inconvenient time for people or whatever. And we gave away 6 gift cards and 7 people showed up, and we wouldn't let the same person win twice. But anyway, the surprise this year is not a gift card for $25 to the Apple gift store. It's a class. And it's going to be a fabulous class. First of all, I want to congratulate our membership on aggressively partaking in our classes. And this is a great, great feeling for all of us that work so hard on putting this together, because the response to the classes is so gratifying. And it was particularly gratifying this year to see the response to the first 2 classes in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, we're going to have a free bonus class. The class will be a regular class, 2.5 hours. It's going to be done by one of the authors of the Take Control books. So we're going to provide you free a Take Control book, a free class, no expense, plus the free video of the class. The class will be on March the 27th, and it will be for Naples Mug members only, no outsiders. Managing Your Files. This is a brand new book. Jeff Carlson, who was with us about 3 months ago, who did a meeting on, I think, Luminar, a piece of hot software in the photography world. He did an outstanding meeting. It's a great piece of software. Our membership loved his approach and the meeting itself. He's written this book, Managing Your Files. We all have an issue with this. Where do you put them? How do you deal with them? You know, and so forth and so on. This guy is an expert in this area. So we're going to have a 2.5-hour class on managing your files by the actual expert and the author of this book, Jeff Carlson. To sign up for this class, we're not going to make you go into the FileMaker Pro website and sign up for the class. It's going to be a very simple email to Eckert. And the only thing you got to make sure you do is in the subject field on your email, type in bonus class. Bonus class is the subject. And you'll be entered into the class. You'll be getting information on this within the next few days. Like I said, the instructor is Jeff Carlson. He wrote the book. Here's a picture of Jeff. You remember him. If you were at the meeting, I think in September of last year. Anyway, I want to at this point thank everybody for attending this meeting. And are there any questions?
Mitch, you've had your hand up for quite a while. Do you have a question?
Yes. Just 1 second. Let me get to my notes. I actually took notes. I had 3 quick questions. I'll mention all 3 of them. The budget revenue for classes does not seem to be going up very much, yet we said our attendance is up significantly. I'd like to have a comment on that. You mentioned that Jeff Wozinak's or Gary, Gary's information. Gary, what's his name? Wozinak?
Rosenwig?
Yeah, I thought you mentioned that his information was going to be linked on our website. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it going to be the pro version? And I looked for it and couldn't find it.
Not on there yet.
Okay.
Mary,
go ahead.
It's just an explanation of the benefit of him. I can make a link, but we hadn't planned a link.
Okay.
So it's not actually going to be his
version, Mitch.
Okay, it's not actually going to be his stuff.
No,
Yes.
it's just referring. It's a referral to him, letting people who access our website know about him and the benefit of him.
Okay. And the final thing is,
Mitch, your first question, as far as the budget, that was an estimate by the board. Don came up with the estimate. We agreed. We always plan the budget from a income standpoint at a fairly with a conservative view. So we had no idea what the reaction was going to be to our Zoom classes. So we just guesstimated that it would be about the same as last year. The number was $8,000, and we're trending towards 10.
okay, thank
So
you.
the actual number will be better.
The final thing is, are we going to do anything in July and August at all?
I'm planning on not doing anything in July and August, and I haven't finalized that with the board, but I think we really need to take those 2 months off.
I agree.
Because,
thank you very much.
We need a vacation.
Thank you very much. It's a great review.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Can you repeat the information about the class, the bonus class, who to send the email to and what to put in the subject?
Bonus class. Bonus class goes in the subject, and it goes to Eckert, and you will receive plenty of notices of the meeting, and you'll be able to link to it from my notice.
Okay, if anyone has a question, can you please either raise your hand or put your question in the chat so we can call on you. Frank, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I have a question about the calendar that I have for Nmug is it gives me the meeting every Wednesday and no link to log in. Now, is there something, I mean, I had one appointment with, or one schedule that had the link, and I'm assuming the link doesn't change from week to week. The numbers or the passwords always Nmug. But
We'll let, I think Eckert can answer that probably the best. Eckert?
Yes, I was really needed to, I get overwhelmed right now with requests to join the bonus class. Quickly. So
Okay, well, I can answer the question. I can answer the question. On the calendar, our website is a public website. Anybody in the world can look at our website. As you know, we went through the process of having our members needing to sign in and with the user ID and password, and that ended up a disaster. People forgot their password and their user ID, and we about drove Marty totally insane at the time. And so now we have opened the website to the world. And so therefore we don't want to have the link on the calendar to our Zoom meetings, because from a security standpoint. So we send you that link is available through Eckert. We get it out to you. And it's the same link for every meeting for this entire year up to June. Next year, we'll probably have a different link. And that's why you don't see it on the website or on the calendar.
All right, Dale, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, it's really a statement. As a fellow Mug president, I want to say that Naples is extremely well run, very impressive, and you guys have been a big help to us in Michigan for improving our SMUG. So I want to say I appreciate it. I'm glad I joined this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining, and thank you for being a member of the group.
All right, George, you have 1 minute.
I have a question. This is Sophie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Does your question relate to the meeting or something else?
It's about Big Sur.
Okay, go ahead.
What's the latest word? Should we download Big Sur? Or wait?
Jeff, are you with us?
Jeff has left the building, I think.
Okay.
All right.
That's at this point, that's a personal call. If you have a current a computer within the last 2 or 3 years, I would say yes. There are some issues that can possibly happen. Sheeta's probably better qualified than I am to answer that question.
All right. So you want to do your due diligence before you download Big Sur, because you may have some apps and equipment that will not work with Big Sur. You want to go to the software maker's website to find out if that app is compatible. If it's an app that you really, really need and use every day, and it is not compatible with Big Sur, you want to wait until that developer updates that app. If you have equipment that won't work with Big Sur, you'll either have to buy new equipment. I wasn't buying that $700 scanner that I have sitting over here that's perfectly fine and working really well. So I wasn't going to replace that. So you want to do your due diligence to see if the apps and devices that you need and use are compatible with Big Sur. If you don't care about them, go ahead and update. If you care about them, you want to hold off. So yes, it is a personal decision. Make sure it's the right decision for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, George, it's past time.
Okay, everybody, thank you very, very much for attending our annual meeting. Have a great week, stay healthy, and take care of yourself. And thanks for belonging to the Naples Mac User Group.